Hi, I am Ashlee, and I am a cosmetic product developer. I'm based in Chicago. Um, there are a lot of really cool and interesting things that comes with being a cosmetic product developer. Um, and one of them is you don't really have to have a specific major or concentration in order to do this job. I was a marketing and public relations major. It is great to have marketing experience because anything having to do with product, consumer products, you want to be able to, work a marketing angle, but you can be anything and be a product developer. So whatever you're doing, if you want to do this job, you can. However, if you are a chemist or you are involved in chemistry, you can take a really cool career path if you're interested in the beauty world and be a cosmetic chemist. So I will talk a little bit more about that. But I just wanted to give a little bit of background of myself. And yeah, so I'm just going to jump in and start talking to you guys a little bit about what my job entails and how we bring a cosmetic product from concept to life, which includes a lot of testing. So basically, first and foremost, when you're creating a cosmetic product, whether it be skincare, makeup, hair care, body care, anything, the first thing that goes into it is trend research. So as a product developer and a marketer, my job is to come to the table to a brand or a manufacturer with ideas, and those ideas have to come from research. So I do a lot of trend reporting. So there are a lot of reporting websites. There are different companies that provide trends out even like 10 years from now, what they think is going to be happening in the beauty sector. And so I will do a lot of that kind of reporting, but then also I have to be like really, really involved in what's happening now. And that is why I do a beauty blog, is really just to kind of keep in the know. And so if you guys are on Instagram, my handle is @InTheGlamRoom. And that's really just to kind of keep me knowing what's going on in the beauty space. And so once all of the trend and the competitive research is done, and the product is decided on of, okay, this is the type of product we want to launch, then we go into a brief writing process. And the brief writing is basically pulling together all of the information and attributes about the product that you want the cosmetic chemist to create. So that would include everything from color, texture, scent, attributes like what it should feel like on the skin, how it should dry on the skin, if it's a moisturizer, should it be oily feeling, should it be gel-like, should it be watery, all the different attributes, and basically anything else you can think of that you would want to tell the chemist, this is what I want you to make. If it's makeup, of course, color payoff. If it's eyeshadow, do you want it to be like a light wash of eyeshadow, or do you want it to be a super bold, vibrant shadow? So basically anything like that is going to go into the brief. What also goes into the brief is benchmark formulas. And that is basically telling the chemist, I want the product to be like this other product. And it could be a product from a different brand or from your brand. But it could be a benchmark for any one of those attributes. So you could say, I want my product to have the same color as this product, but I want it to have the same texture as this product. And I want it to have the same X, of this product. But then, there's all the little intricacies of, but it has to be different, right? You can't copy a product. So it's those benchmark formulas, the benchmark products that help the chemist kind of understand your mindset. And that's really what the purpose of that is for. So again, having a beauty blog is really helpful because I am constantly in the know of every product launch that's happening in the market. And so it's like, oh, okay, I want to make sure that this next product I'm launching has this attribute. So that's a really cool piece of the brief writing process. So once the brief is written, I would bring that brief to the chemist. And there's usually many chemists working on any one formula at a time. It's called on the bench is what they call it. If you're in chemistry, you probably know that, but bringing the product to the bench. And that basically means that now it's the cosmetic chemist's turn to work on creating the formula that you just provided the brief for. And usually it takes 2 to 3, if the cosmetic chemist is really good and your brief was very accurate, it would take 2 to 3 times coming back and forth with submissions. So they would give you the product and then you would come back with feedback and say, okay, well, you were really close on this attribute, but you missed it on this attribute. And then they would rework the process. And then once the formula is approved and you say, it's perfect, we're done, we love everything about it, that's when it goes into testing mode. So you've got your formula, it's ready to rock, everybody loves it. You have to do some in-house testing. So in-house testing is where the manufacturer or the lab actually does testing just in the lab. And the most important testing is stability testing. And what that is when they put the formula into, if it's a liquid formula, it goes into a glass jar. And liquid could mean anything from foundation to any sort of skincare, hair care, lotion, it's all considered liquid. It goes into a glass jar and it goes through a process of freezing and thawing multiple times at different temperatures. So everything will be in Celsius, and I think it's off the top of my head, like 5, 10, 20, and they go freeze thaw, freeze thaw, freeze thaw, and see what happens to the formula. Then they heat it up and cool it off, and heat it up and cool it off, to see if anything changes in the formula while it's going through these extreme temperature changes. That can definitely happen, especially with products like a lipstick. If you've ever received a lipstick, if you've had it shipped to you from Ulta or Sephora or somewhere, and it has these little like oil bubbles on the lipstick tube, it's because it potentially went through too hot of a cycle when it was being shipped. Like if it's shipped through Arizona, it may, have a unique melting point where in that truck, it might have gotten to 125 degrees Fahrenheit in the truck, and, some of the oil pulled out. That would be a stability issue. But what you'll see every once in a while is you'd have your liquid in the jar and you'll see like the oil and water separation when it gets to when there's a stability problem. And all of a sudden, your oil is on one level and your water's on another. And, that's obviously not what you want. You want your product to stay one complete formula. So that is what stability testing is for. They also do in stability testing UV testing. So they'll make sure that lights don't affect the product. So they'll put it in a box that's surrounded by bright lights and see if the product changes colors. That's the main thing that happens with light. Blue is actually one of the most volatile colors. So if you have like a blue moisturizer or a blue shampoo and it's in a clear bottle, you might even notice that you might have something in your stock that has changed colors over time, and that's because of UV light. So sometimes it's not an issue because it's just color, and so it's not that big of a deal, but other times it is a big deal. And the stability testing is super important. Then there's compatibility testing, and this is another really important test that they do in-house. It's to make sure that the formula and the packaging that the formula is going in are compatible with one another. So certain products can have volatile ingredients in them that could actually like eat away at a plastic tube. And so it would have to be put into a glass component or a specific type of plastic that does not react to the volatility. There's also airtight components, components that are fully UV protected, like ingredients like retinol cannot see the sun. They have to be completely protected from the sun. Same goes with vitamin C. If they are in the sunlight, the ingredient degrades. So that would be compatibility testing. Then there's preservative efficacy testing, making sure that your formula is not going to grow mold and bacteria. That is another huge testing protocol. If you've ever heard of products getting recalled, a lot of times they're being recalled because mold and bacteria have grown in the product. It's always tested, but sometimes things happen and it's tested for a certain amount of time. And, you assume that after a certain amount of time, that it would be okay, but then as time goes on, something can happen. Jamie just asked, is the mold and bacteria testing by a microbiologist? I believe that the testing, I think that there probably would be a microbiologist. It would be microbiology, and then usually it's quality control, and quality control is typically are different types of scientists. So you would have maybe people who are chemists, microbiologists to do all this testing. So yes, absolutely. The beauty industry is full of scientists. So honestly, there's so many jobs for scientists in the beauty industry, especially in skincare development. So definitely a very cool career path to look into. So Jamie asked about, so she said, we always hear about sunscreens not having the actual SPF shown on the labels. Is this the product development issue, false advertising, or is it a stability issue? Okay, so SPFs are their own beast, because in the FDA, they're considered over-the-counter drugs. So they're considered OTC products. Strange to call it a drug, but a sunscreen is, the reason they call it a drug is because it's preventing skin cancer, basically, if you use it properly. So the issue with sunscreens being the wrong SPF number is it's a third-party test. So a brand technically is not liable for the issue, because many of the tests that you go through cannot be done in-house. So all the ones I mentioned before can be done in-house, but an SPF testing has to be done third-party. And this third-party lab is specialist in sunscreen testing. And sunscreen testing is extremely complicated about UV wavelengths and how it hits your skin. And it's all tested on human subjects. So it's tested on the Fitzpatrick scale, which is basically your skin type. And there are 4 Fitzpatrick scales. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 being the fairest of the fair, like Irish, red hair, freckles, fairest of the fair. I'm a 2 because I'm very fair, but I can tan slightly. Then there's a 3 and a 4, which would be your deepest, darkest skin. And the SPF testing is done on human skin. And it basically is, they measure how long it takes your skin to burn with no sunscreen on. And then they apply the sunscreen to you, and then they measure how long it takes you to burn again. And then there's a mathematical process that creates that SPF value. And if the testing is not done properly, or is not done on enough subjects, is not done enough times for enough time, you could get an incorrect value. So this is why you typically see this in other markets besides the US, because the US is very stringent on this, because it is an FDA product. But it definitely happens, and I've actually seen it quite a few times coming out of Korea lately, that the third-party testing has been very inaccurate, where the product may say SPF 50 and it actually tested like an 18 or a 20, which is really scary, because if you're thinking you're putting an SPF 50 on your face and going to the beach, you could come back with a really bad sunburn that could, cause permanent damage, to the outer skin and internally. So yeah, there are very specific protocols in SPF testing. Again, because it is a OTC product. The same goes for like acne products. Those are also considered OTC, over-the-counter drugs. So there's a lot of different types of third-party testing that has to go into drug labels. Oh, cool. So Anna just said, my friend does this in St. Louis. She's a microbiologist. Very cool. Jamie's question, how is comedogenic testing done and how is it different than hypoallergenic? Okay, that is a really great question. So comedogenic and acnegenic are two tests that can be done but are not frequently done. They are very, very expensive tests, and brands typically don't do them if they formulate the product to a level where it should be non-comedogenic or non-acnegenic, meaning you're not putting known pore clogging ingredients in a formula. However, like if you think about the ingredient coconut oil, it's considered a comedogenic ingredient. However, when it's combined with different solvents and combined in a way that most brands would do, it's no longer a level of comedogenicity that is probably going to cause acne, but it's possible. So there are levels of comedogenic. So you can have like a level 1, which would be like a jojoba oil, which is going to be really replenishing on the skin, not going to clog your pores. And then a standard coconut oil, like if you took it out of the jar and slathered it on your face, would probably be like a 4. It really could cause you to have clogged pores. So that is a test that is done. Again, it's done on humans. None of these tests are done on animals in the US. They're all done on humans, willing humans. And then hypoallergenic testing. So there is a test called HRIPT, and that's human repeat insult patch testing. So you are actually, it's repeating the insult on someone's skin. So you are applying the product over and over and over on the same spot, like on someone's arm, over and over and over all day long for like 30 days in a row. And usually there's like 30 to 45 subjects, and it would be for a month, and they would just keep doing it and doing it and doing it and see if there's a reaction. If, if it's something like if there's menthol in a product or a lot of alcohol, you might see that after 3 or 4 uses, or, even if it's 10 uses, you might start seeing some burning, itching, redness. It's not super typical. Most products are formulated in a way where you're not going to have a reaction, but I have seen it happen where, there is an ingredient that would react with someone's skin after applying the product over and over and over again. But that's basically how they test hypoallergenic. The term hypoallergenic is not regulated, and there's not actually a test for hypoallergenic. So when Clinique says that they are hypoallergenic, they aren't, because it's not possible to test for that. It means that no one has ever had a reaction in this testing. The same goes for like dermatologist tested. Dermatologist tested means a dermatologist literally just tested the product on themselves. They didn't approve it. They didn't say that it works well, that it's great. They literally just applied it to their body and then signed a piece of paper saying that they applied it. So there's a lot of interesting claims out there that are kind of starting to like get debunked. You can have dermatologist approved. That's very different. Dermatologist approved means that a dermatologist actually tried it and said, yes, I approve this. I would recommend this to my patients. Very different. Anna says, okay, I had no idea what comedogenic meant. I honestly was like, oh, okay, non-comedogenic, that sounds good. It is good. Non-comedogenic means that it will not clog your pores, or should not clog your pores. Everyone's different. Sometimes the most basic ingredient can clog someone's pores, and other people can slather Vaseline all over themselves and never get a breakout. So everyone's different. Okay, Jamie, why are there super high price skincare versus cheaper brands that offer the same ingredients? Excellent, excellent question, Jamie. Okay, so there are a few things here. If it's just one ingredient, like if you're looking at a brand like if you're familiar with The Ordinary or the Inkey List, they are brands that have come out recently that are very much focused on a single ingredient, like a hyaluronic acid serum. And all it is is hyaluronic acid in a solution of water typically, or it would be just squalene oil. And that's all that's coming in this product. Those would cost you, they're usually like between $5 and $12. They're very simple, very basic. Now you can go and get a product from a brand like Allies of Skin, which I'm thinking that their hyaluronic acid serum is probably like $95, if not more. What you're going to see that's different is that it's formula over ingredient. So it's a formula over ingredient list. You may be able to look at an ingredient list and say, okay, this product has these 3 ingredients, and so does this product. But what about all the other ingredients? And what about how they were formulated? So your product that is only hyaluronic acid is going to be very, very basic. It's only going to give you 1 level of hydration. So hyaluronic acid comes in at least 3 different molecule sizes, low molecular weight, medium, and high. The lower the molecular weight, the deeper the penetration into your skin. So if you're getting a $6 serum, you're probably getting high molecular weight because it's the cheapest. And so it's going to give you some plumpness in your skin. It's going to be nice. But a product like Allies of Skin has all 3 molecular weights. So you're getting penetration from all 3 levels. Okay, another question. Is hyaluronic acid good for skin? I heard that it is helpful for hydration, but I also heard that it sits on your skin and draws moisture out. Right now, I do vitamin C in the morning, retinol in the evening, and no hyaluronic acid. That's a really good question. So hyaluronic acid is one of those ingredients that has been so hyped that everybody feels like they have to have it in their routine. And it's a really great ingredient, but exactly what you said here is that it can draw moisture out of your skin. So it's a humectant. And what a humectant ingredient is that it pulls moisture from the environment. So if you are in a Chicago summer where the humidity is 95%, and you are already, frizzy and full of humidity, hyaluronic acid is going to work amazingly. It's going to pull all that humidity out of the air and push it into your skin. If you are in an environment such as possibly Arizona, where there's no humidity in certain times, it might do the opposite. And this is, again, where formula makes sense. If you're just using basic hyaluronic acid, it may not do what you want it to do. If you're using a formula that has all the molecular weights, it's combined with other humectants and emollients and ingredients like glycerin that are going to keep you hydrated, it's going to be beneficial no matter what environment you're in. But you do have to be careful about the hydration issue in a very low humidity environment. Vitamin C in the morning and retinol in the evening are great choices. Vitamin C should definitely be used in the morning because it is an antioxidant and it's going to protect you from all of the pollution and everything that's going on in the environment around you during the day. And retinol in the evening, absolutely, because retinol and the sun do not mix. If you're using a retinol, you always need to be following that up with an SPF in the morning. Okay, another question. What about those collagen lotion things? What does this mean, Jamie? Do those boost elasticity? Collagen lotions. Collagen is typically a molecule that is too large to penetrate the skin. So Jamie's mind is blown. Collagen is usually put into formulas to help hydrate, to smooth, to soften, but you're not really going to get like anti-cellulite with, adding collagen. It's all kind of a marketing spin that doesn't really work. If you're trying to boost elasticity and collagen, vitamin C, awesome. Retinol, awesome. So Anna, you're doing a great job with boosting your collagen. Okay, Sarah, this is also interesting. What are some of the cosmetic industry scientist careers? So A product developer can be a scientist. So you'd be an amazing product developer if you had a science background, because all of these things that I'm talking about right now have had to come from 10 years of doing this, 10 years of learning about the ingredients and the molecular weights. If you already know all this stuff, like, you're golden, right? Because you've already got the information. I had to learn it all, as I came up. So a product developer, absolutely. Of course, all of the chemistry jobs. So being a cosmetic chemist, where you're actually a cosmetic formulator, creating the formulas. And then when you think about creating the formula, all the different jobs that go into that. So someone is actually, mixing the products together in the lab, but then there also has to be someone who then scales that up. So you just created something that's this big, right, to test it. Now someone has to figure out, what is that formula going to mean if we're going to put it into a 500 kilogram kettle to cook it, or a 1,000-gram kettle, just how are we going to scale that up? Somebody else has to do that. Someone else has to be on the production floor, making sure that every ingredient that's going into the product is going in properly. Creating a formula doesn't just mean you put all the products into a bucket and stir them up. It's, how quickly do you drop it in? How, what ingredient goes first after the next, and so on and so forth. So there's a ton of people who are on the manufacturing floor who have to completely understand how these ingredients work together. Then we talked about quality control, people being in the quality section, where once the product is ready, somebody has to be there to do all that testing and make sure that no mold is growing, that it's stable, that it's compatible. So this would all be on either a manufacturer side or on a brand side. And then there's careers in the testing facilities. If you wanted to be someone who was testing sunscreens, or who was doing the comedogenic testing, there's labs that do that. And so that would be, another completely separate career. And then of course, if it's, if you're talking about makeup and the makeup piece besides skincare, that's like learning about colors and understanding color science and how to create different colors out of, like 3 pigments. You think about making a foundation. Foundations are made with black, white, and yellow, and having to create thousands of shades with only 3 pigments. That's a completely interesting science right there. So creating colors. There are so many careers in the beauty industry, and there are a lot of resources to find beauty careers on the internet. Like, you can definitely search them out. There's Cosmetic Executive Women, CEW is a great one. Any of the like fashion design schools usually have a focus in beauty, so you can kind of look at their websites and see like what they're offering. But definitely, I mean, all over the country, it's not just like New York and LA and Chicago. There are manufacturing facilities and beauty brands all over the country. Okay, let's see. Oral collagen. Oh, so it says oral collagen work. Yes. So taking collagen peptides there is data to support that it increases your collagen if you take it every day, like, if you're using it properly, taking the right amount. Oral collagen is known to work. What would you suggest instead of hyaluronic acid? Honestly, I think hyaluronic acid is great. It just needs to be in a proper formula if you're in a dry environment. So probably don't just get like the ordinaries. Find one that has other ingredients, like other emollient ingredients, like a glycerin, or I'm like looking around my office right now to see if I have hyaluronic acid serum close by, but I don't think that I do. But looking for something that is more robust, that has more ingredients in it that are going to do more for your skin than just work as a humectant. Okay, Sarahi says, I've heard products are filled with fragrance because the formulas are replicated so much. they use the fragrance to cover this up. So fragrance is a very, goodness, how do I want to say this? Like, some people hate fragrance in skincare. Some people don't mind it. Some people love it. It's just completely on the across the spectrum. There are many ingredients that naturally have a terrible smell. So an ingredient like sea buckthorn oil is so stinky that you want to put it on your face and you're going to smell it all day, and it's terrible. So I actually have a product that has no added fragrance in it with sea buckthorn oil in it, and I can't even use it because it smells so bad. And there are tons of ingredients that smell horrible. And it may not even always be one ingredient. It might be when you combine ingredients, those two things together create an awful smell. So there are masking agents, and then there are fragrance. So masking agents are ingredients that might be able to be put in like certain flower extracts or fruit extracts that might just cover that scent, but not actually make the product smell like anything. But then other times that won't even help, and you actually have to put in a natural or synthetic fragrance into the formula to cover it up. Now that being said, with fragrance, if you have very sensitive skin, I always say stay away from fragrance in your product, because whether it's an essential oil or a natural fragrance or a synthetic fragrance, they all can be very sensitizing. So if you see brands that are for sensitive skin, you're most likely never going to see an essential oil in it or any sort of fragrance. It's going to be completely fragrance free. It's definitely to cover up the smell of an ingredient, or it honestly could just be for the desire of the brand. They want the product to smell good. They want to give you a sensory experience of texture and feel and the look and the smell, and they want it to be an entire, sensory experience. So it could be either. Bare Minerals is one brand that I love their formulas, their skincare formulas, but they put so much fragrance in them that I can't use them. It's just too strong. It irritates my skin. So yeah, it's kind of a hit or miss with fragrance, but being replicated so much, I'm not sure exactly what you meant by that, but if you want to clarify if I didn't answer your question. Let's see, Anna says, I was using this summer's TikTok spree, the Kiehl's Midnight Oil. I actually don't know what's in that. I have not tried that. I think I have one, but I don't think that I've ever used it. So I'm sorry, I can't speak to that one. Is fragrance a big allergen? Yes, fragrance is one of the biggest allergens in beauty care. Especially if the fragrance is essential oil based. Many people are allergic to essential oils when applied to the skin. Like if you're diffusing it in the air, maybe not an issue, but when you apply it to the skin, there's also a fragrance there's a lot of ingredients that make a fragrance. And in the US, we don't have to put on the packaging, on the ingredient list, everything that goes into a fragrance. We literally just put fragrance or parfum. That's all we have to put. So we don't have to say what makes the fragrance. It's just a regulation that the US has. In the European Union, they have to call it out. So there is an ingredient called linalool, which many people are allergic to. And so that's why they have to call it out in the EU. So it has to be on the packaging that linalool is in the formula. Here, they don't have to say that. So if people do seem to have fragrance issues, they typically just stay away from anything with fragrance because it could have that ingredient in it. And if they don't know, then it's, too hard to just decide and then maybe have an allergic reaction. But yes, fragrance is a big allergen issue, especially essential oils. Tarte smells like chocolate. Yes, it does. I feel like cosmetics, when it comes to makeup having a scent, that is completely just a marketing tactic to make things more fun and enjoyable as you're putting them on, because powder doesn't smell. So you're never trying to cover the scent of like a pressed powder. So it's just for fun. Um, do chemists get involved in fragrance design or mixology? Yes. Okay. So there's another great career is a fragrance house. So when you are developing a product and you say, okay, I want it to smell like this, somebody has to say, okay, well, what you're describing to me, how am I going to put that together? And there are fragrance houses that specifically work on beauty products, not literally like perfume, but the fragrance that's going to go into a beauty product. So I get like trend reports on fragrances all the time. These are the top notes, the middle notes, and the base notes that are trending, and how can you combine them and mix and match them. And when you're testing those to put into a formula, you're basically getting like a pure fragrance sample. So it's like so strong, and you're just smelling them over and over and over again and trying to pull out okay, what are the notes that I'm smelling, and is this what I want my product to smell like, especially like if something like in hair care where it's really going to last on you. Those top, middle, and base notes are going to make a really big difference versus something that like a cleanser, you're going to wash off your face, you're only smelling it for a few seconds. It's very different, and you're putting different percentages of fragrance in those formulas. I believe there is a limit to the percentage of fragrance you can put in a skincare product, and it's well under 1%. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Hair care and like rinse off body care, like a body wash, can be much, much higher. You could go 2%, 5% of the formula can be fragrance because you are washing it off your body. How do different brands patent or copyright their scents or their formulas? Okay, so that's very difficult. You'll only see brands like the L'Oreals of the world, the Estee Lauders, big, huge conglomerate brands being able to patent things. And that's because in most cases, you're taking things that are already available and you're just combining them in a new way that maybe no one else has done before, which is really cool. But you didn't create all the things that go into what you're putting together. That's very difficult. And the research and development that goes into something like that could cost millions and millions of dollars. So you'll only see that in brands that have huge support and backing, like an Estee Lauder or a L'Oreal. Let's see. I've heard that drugstore shampoos are really not good at all. I've been looking for a good shampoo because I feel like my scalp is very sensitive. Okay, so drugstore or mass versus prestige or pro in the hair care world. So drugstore shampoos are typically 95% water. So they are, which I mean, many products are 95% water because it's just the way that formulas work. But with hair care, there are so many different ingredients that you need to create, like if it's a shampoo, a lather, but a lather can be really drying. So then you need to counteract the lather with moisturizing ingredients. And drugstore shampoos at the cost that they're at, $5 or $6 for, at least 8 ounces, you're getting mostly water. And in many cases, they're not the correct pH that your hair and your scalp need. Sarahi, if you are using a drugstore shampoo and you're feeling like your scalp is very sensitive, that could be an issue. Your pH balance in your scalp could be affected from using something that's not balanced. There are also just a lot of ingredients out there that, can be irritating to your scalp. It could be weather, it could be anything, but I would recommend either using a pro line, like something you get at a salon, like even like Ulta has pro lines like Redken or Pureology, any of those, or you could, do, I actually prefer more prestige brands over pro because I do feel like now prestige brands have more innovation. Amika Anna is one. I love Amika. They have amazing formulas. Briogeo is another one that has great scalp products, Sarahi. If you are interested in that, they've got some charcoal products for your scalp for like scrubs and oils, but definitely for a sensitive scalp, I would say find something maybe a little bit more professional or upgraded that will help your scalp. Anna, your parents own a salon. That is very cool. Amika is an awesome brand. I love Amika and I love Unite. I love IGK, Briogeo. Those are all some of my favorite salon brands. Jamie, do you have to watch the pH balance in skincare? Yes. However, most products will not tell you what the pH is. And it's very complex because certain products need to have a certain pH. Cleansers typically have or should have a lower pH, like a 4 to 6 pH level, to kind of counteract the water that you're using with them, but not to strip your skin and dry out your skin. If you're using a super low pH cleanser, you might experience breakouts because it's pulling all of the moisture. It's kind of damaging your skin barrier if it goes too low. But then something like an exfoliating acid, like an AHA type of product, those have to be like between a 3 and a 4, because an acid would not be stable if it was a higher pH. So that all goes into the cosmetic chemistry of a formula, and the pH levels of the product versus the pH of our skin naturally, and how the ingredients are going to work together. Like, you know, you probably would not see a lot of products that have ingredients like an AHA that have to be like at a 3 with a certain ingredient that might need to be at like a 7 or an 8, because it's going to counteract in a product and not work. So that's a huge part of the, you know, the cosmetic chemist's knowledge of making sure that the ingredients they're putting into the product create the pH that that specific formula needs. Do Microderm paste products actually do a microdermabrasion? So like scrubs, so there are physical exfoliants and then there's chemical exfoliants, right? So a physical exfoliation would be like Dermalogica's powder that you just mix with water, or any sort of scrub, physical scrubbing mechanism. It is not the same as microdermabrasion, but it does remove the outer layer of your skin. So it will help to turn your cells over faster. However, with scrubs, you have to be really careful because you can really, really overdo it. And if you scrub too hard, you can potentially scratch your skin. You can cause micro tears in your skin, which is going to, you know, possibly make your skin look and feel worse than if you didn't do it at all. I prefer acid exfoliation. However, that's also really easy to overdo because you can damage your skin barrier if you use too much of that. So exfoliating is very important, but doing it very sparsely, like maybe twice a week, is really all you need to do to keep your cells turning over rapidly. And for students who are probably 20s, you don't even really need to be exfoliating that often because your skin already turns its cells over every month. The older we get, the longer it takes for our cells to turn over, so the more we need to exfoliate. But if you're using retinols, AHAs, scrubs, all those things, it's all doing it for you. What shampoos products actually work to get rid of and minimize dandruff? So that would definitely depend on whether or not you actually have dandruff or if you just have flakes. So flakes would be from, you know, just having an itchy, dry scalp, having buildup on your scalp from, you know, using too many products on it, using dry shampoo too often, not properly cleansing enough. So that could be like an itchy, dry scalp with flakes. Also living in a dry environment, you know, it could just be honestly dry skin that's flaking off, because, you know, your skin, you're putting moisturizer on it daily, but you're not doing that with your scalp, and your scalp is skin. So it could be just dry flakiness. And in that case, I would definitely say, like, look for scalp oils again, because scalp oils are going to help to just create more of a moisture barrier on your scalp. And also brushing your hair with a boar bristle brush. That's going to help distribute oils from your scalp into your hair and help it not to just sit on your scalp and like build up. If it actually is dandruff, dandruff is actually a fungus. I know that sounds gross, but it's not. It's super common. But if it actually is dandruff, you actually need to use a specific over-the-counter product. So there's like a Head and Shoulders is an OTC product because it has, I actually don't know what the ingredient is. I think it's some form of zinc that like kills the fungus. So if you are going to try using something like a Head and Shoulders or a, what's the other one, Selsun Blue, something like that, make sure you have a really, really hydrating conditioner because that will very much dry out your hair. As it's trying to dry out your scalp and clean everything up in your scalp, it's going to dry your hair out. Do I have a list of love to use products? Oh my goodness. If you go on my Instagram at In the Glam Room, you will definitely see most of my favorite products. But I did not think this was going to go that long. I thought I was going to like dive into a makeup tutorial. And so I actually put together a list of products to create a dewy, like glowy look, because I know if you guys are either in Arizona, it's very dry, but also like in the Midwest, Missouri and Chicago, it's super dry here too, but you know, opposite, dry because it's freezing. And so using like cream products will really help with, you know, keeping your skin looking moisturized and hydrated. So I created a list and it's actually I'll type it in the chat too. It's shoplist.us/intheglamroom, and it's like all the products that I recommend to get that makeup products. But yeah, skincare, my Instagram is mostly skincare. Sarahi, are there any good drugstore sunscreens? Sunscreens are, yes, absolutely. That depends on if you like chemical sunscreen or chemical or physical sunscreens. So chemical sunscreens are going to be your oxybenzone, avobenzone, homosalate. So all of your chemicals that are going to be on the ingredient list. A physical sunscreen is going to be titanium and or zinc. So they're very different types of formulas. I prefer chemical sunscreens because physical sunscreens like zinc and titanium, they're much thicker paste. Like they can leave a white cast on your skin, like really hard to like rub out and, you know, put makeup over. So I prefer chemical. Honestly, Neutrogena has amazing sunscreens. I can't remember what the collection is called, but they have one that like leaves no greasy residue. It's like soft to the touch. But yeah, Neutrogena has great sunscreens. And having a space heater blast on my face all day. Yeah, that's not good for our complexions. Jamie, they have non-comedogenic and hypoallergenic sunscreens. Yes, Neutrogena. They have great sunscreens. They're wonderful.
So earlier you had said that most brands don't do that comedogenic or hypoallergenic testing, but Neutrogena does, or that's just like a
so if Neutrogena says non-comedogenic, they have done the testing, and I'm not surprised because again, Neutrogena is such a big brand that they can afford to do that. In most cases, like smaller brands, niche brands are not going to pay for that testing. But again, like a Neutrogena, a L'Oreal, an Estee Lauder, they'll pay for it.
I was just making sure.
Yes, because sunscreen can definitely cause breakouts. And it's so funny because some people say that chemical sunscreens break them out. Other people say mineral sunscreens break them out. So it just completely depends on your skin, whether you tolerate zinc and titanium or whether you tolerate avobenzone and oxybenzone and all of those. So completely, yeah. The hypoallergenic statement probably just means that they did the RIPT testing and that it passed. Okay, Anna, I use Cetaphil with SPF. Okay, I got the new moisturizer and it's thick and smells like sunscreen, but I believe they are non-comedogenic. Cetaphil, I believe they say that it's non-comedogenic. They used to be like the #1 dermatologist recommended brand. However, that's because it's mostly water, and most people tolerate water very well. So they're very, very basic formulas. They're not really going to add anything to your skin or do anything for your skin. It's just going to be a very basic cleanser or moisturizer or whatever. It's just going to be like a water-based formula, very basic, really no benefits. If you're looking for a similar, like a dermatologist approved drugstore brand, Cerave is the way to go. Cerave is, they're loaded with ceramides and other great ingredients that are going to protect the skin. They're going to replenish your skin with, lost moisture. It's going to protect your barrier. Cerave is great. That's actually another one for whoever asked for the drugstore drugstore sunscreens. Cerave has I think at least an SPF 30. Eucerin is another one. So Eucerin is another like dermatologist approved brand. Eucerin, I think, is mineral oil, mostly mineral oil. And that mineral oil works wonders if you have super, super severe dry skin. But you definitely don't want to use mineral oil if you have acne issues, if you have like body breakouts, you don't want to be putting mineral oil on your skin. But yeah, Eucerin is if you're okay with that like really, really greasy feel, it's because it's mineral oil, but it does work really well. How many times should you be reapplying sunscreen? So this is one of the reasons why sunscreen testing is so difficult, is because you have to be putting on the proper amount and applying it the proper amount of times. So the drug facts label on any sunscreen is going to be exactly the same across every US-based sunscreen because it's literally a copy and paste from the FDA. It's what it has to say. So it's going to tell you to put it on at least 15 minutes before sun exposure, and it's going to tell you to reapply at least every 60 to 90 minutes or 80 to 90 minutes, something like that. Actually, I probably have one like right here that I can grab and refer to if you'd allow me. Let's see. Reapply at least every 2 hours, it says. So that is because of how they test the formula. So the way that it gets to that level, so if you have an SPF 30, the way that it remains an SPF 30 is if you apply it every 2 hours and you apply the proper amount. So if you're talking from head to toe, you're supposed to apply 2 ounces of product. So you're supposed to apply like a shot glass full of product for your whole body, that every 2 hours, which seems kind of crazy. And I don't really see a lot of people doing that, but that's what makes the SPF the level that you are buying. For your face, if we're just talking about face, it's supposed to be a 1/4 tablespoon. And so that every 2 hours is a lot. So like in the blogger world, we call it the 3-finger application, where you take your 3 fingers and you like, if you're pumping it out or you're squeezing it out, you squeeze enough out to cover 3 fingers. And that's as accurate as, you can get without busting out, your kitchen tablespoon and pumping it into that. But you do have to apply it about every 2 hours. Now, if you're wearing makeup, that's really hard because you can't be putting lotion over your face if you have makeup on. So there are some great SPFs out there that are in powder formula that you can reapply powders. But there are some that come like in a little brush and you just brush it over your face. Color Science is one brand. Peter Thomas Roth has one. So you can just apply it right over your makeup. There's other ones that are sunscreen like setting sprays. And so this makes it more difficult to get the proper amount, but at least you're doing something if you're wearing makeup. So you can put the SPF setting spray on over your makeup. Those things would help the reapplication without completely ruining your makeup. So is that also germ approved? I have horrible eczema. Yes, CeraVe would be great for eczema. Another brand that would be really great for eczema is Skin Fix Ink. Skin Fix. They have it at Sephora. It is completely fragrance free. It's full of ceramides and fatty acids and lipids. and they actually have body products and hand creams that are specifically for eczema. And then I believe their products are approved by like the Eczema and Psoriasis Foundation. They're some of my favorite products, and I don't even have any of those issues, and I love them. They work wonders.
Thank you so much for this. This has been so enlightening. And honestly, I think I knew there was a lot of science that went into, you know, makeup and everything. Like I have friends that do chemical testing, but I didn't. I mean, it seems like it's all science.
Yeah, it is. Right. I mean, besides like the marketing aspect of it, it's marketing and science. Yeah. Well, I'm glad. And if you know, if anybody that watches this later, if you guys have any questions about the industry or careers or about skincare, about anything, just message me on Instagram at In the Glam Room, and just let me know that you know, you watched this from ASU, and I'm happy to, you know, provide product recommendations, help you possibly find a career path. Happy to do all of that.
Thank you so much.
You know, if there's some other students who have watched this and have more questions or want to hear more about a specific product category, want to understand more about makeup, or want to understand more about skincare, I can talk to both. So it's good. Yeah, I would love to do that. I could kind of walk through the steps of how to build a skincare routine for your skin type. And then, yeah, and then we can go through and do a makeup tutorial. Or
thank you so much.
Thank you guys. And again, just hit me up on Instagram if you have any questions later. So, all right. Bye.